What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Bituation Room on a fantastic Friday. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you to Urban Hermit, who is a patron, who said, I hope that Francesca remembers to publish this on Patreon. And no, it had not been published on Patreon. You know why? Because I am a small, scrappy team, and I will have words with producer Paige about this. No, so glad you are here and you're stopping by. Thank you for pressing play in the future if you are listening in the future. I am really excited because today, two members of Sunrise Movement, the youth-led climate justice movement, is here. We're going to talk about how they are building the resistance where Democrats will not, what they're doing in terms of trainings, in terms of demonstrations, and what they're calling on all of us to do as well. So I'm really excited to have them on the stream for a little bit of the show. Please send in any questions if you're watching here live. And if you are here live, why don't you just like and share the stream right now? And if you're listening in the future, well, aren't you fancy? Just all comfortable. Pause, play, rewind, skip. Give this podcast 5 stars wherever you're listening to this. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, basically those 2 things. Let me know what you think of the show. Thank you so much. Before I jump in, I did mention that there is a Patreon page. And guess what? There's a lot of new patrones. A lot of new patrones and a lot of new members on YouTube who I will be shouting out during the fart song. In fact, I'm afraid I'm going to do a fart song today. You guys get a shout out during the fart song today. And some of this might be attributed to the fact that earlier this week, 2 days ago, Cenk Uygur of TYT said that I was banished from all TYT shows, in part because of my critiques of him that he felt went too far. Yes, I did say that he was acting like a bitch, and I stand by that, and I understand, look, it's okay. You can banish me from your network. It's your network. However, I had a response, and if everyone wants to check that out, if you haven't seen it, youtube.com/FrannyFio, a little bit of TYT, if you will, spilled and sipped. Look, it's been a good run, but everyone outgrows something. And, when something's not healthy for you, you should move on, just generally. There's a lot of thoughts I have there. I think what I wasn't expecting, y'all, was the amount of support that I got from people in the audience and people on social media. And just thank you. If you signed up, if you subscribed, if you became a member, tell them what they get, Franny. I mean, you get, number 1, your dignity. Number 2, you get access to our Wednesday bonus episodes, which are free to stream live. But if you want to listen to them back, you get like a special cute little icon. It's an RSS feed. It's in your welcome note when you're a patron. Also, if you're a member, you can go back and watch all those member-only videos talking about how wild lynxes attacked the IDF, Michael Wolff confirming those nasty photos of Trump and Epstein, all the good stuff. Signal gate updates, only the best. Patreon.com/bituationroom. And I'm just like really, 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 really grateful because I do feel like the audiences are smart. I think TYT has created a really awesome, smart community that actually knows how to hold the people who help them become more politically savvy, hold those people accountable. And I'm glad you're doing so. And I hope you continue to do so. And thank you for coming and watching my show. That was not my intention in making a response video. That's never been my intention when it comes to talking about TYT. I'm doing it because I truly feel like it is a responsibility to actually try to ask why we need to cozy up to, butter up, have beers with right-wing propagandists who are Christian nationalists that are on board with the kinds of draconian and harmful policies that are getting people killed right now. I don't think we should have any room in a progressive movement for that. And look, there are some libs who are better on this than the hosts of that show. Sadly, obviously, if you're from the Dragon Squad, it means I can no longer be on the damage report. I wish it were different. I've loved my time with John Idarola, and I hope John will come on this show from time to time. I think he is wildly intelligent and strategic and smart, and also has an incredibly grounded sense of solidarity when it comes to who is directly in the crosshairs of this kind of authoritarianism that we're going to talk about later on. Because don't go nowhere. We are also going to be talking about Trump's dirty war. I'm calling it a dirty war because that's what it is. The crackdown on activists and intellectuals in academia, in the streets. This is the playbook of people like Jorge Videla in Argentina, of Pinochet in Chile. And guess what? The right openly lauds those figures and wants to emulate them. Marco Rubio does. I mean, we don't have evidence that he does, but he does in practice. But surely the meme lords who are responding to him do. So we're going to look at that. And it's hard to look at, but we have to. And maybe something fun. Is there anything fun? Is there anything fun? No. You know what? We're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun because some of the people doing some of the most creative actions that you have seen since it's been almost 70 days, only 70 days of this administration, has come from the Sunrise Movement. Again, a youth-led climate activist movement that has, really came on the scene around 2018 and famously sat in Nancy Pelosi's office. AOC joined them, has been on the forefront of a movement for survival, really, in this country, and is not afraid to connect the dots between, struggles for to rein in climate and fossil fuels, to racial justice and immigrant justice, and on and on and on. And so I love them. I'm so glad they're here. So I'm going to bring them in. Are y'all ready? Let me add to the show Deeksha and Drake. Let's see, Drake, are you ready? Turn on that camera, my friend. Deeksha and Drake, welcome to the Bitchuation Room.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here. I want to play this. I don't know if you all had a hand in this or not, but it was just, I think it was from earlier this week or last week. And one of the funniest things I've seen in terms of street actions. I love a good, what is it? Street theater. Love. Now, if you're listening, it is dudes in coveralls with U-Hauls. There is a rented U-Haul, and they're moving stuff, and the boxes say Schumer on it. And where are we? Are we outside his office? I'm pretty sure we're in his office in New. This looks like is this New York or DC? Do we know?
He stopped working for the American people. We got to move him out. Not today? Well, I mean, I don't know. He's abandoned us. He's abandoned us families in America. And you know when an appliance stops working, like a microwave or a fridge, and you call the movers to move the stuff out? The people of America called us to move Chuck Schumer out because he stopped working for us. He abandoned working class families. He sold us out. He didn't stand up to fascism when we needed him most. So we're here to move him out. So how can we get in and get the junk out of office?
Amen.
Okay, first of all, the best thing about this clip, other than that amazing performance, is that there are like random little lackeys trying to move metal barricades as if like you guys are posing any kind of threat. Like, oh, quickly get the anti-protester barricade up. So this goes on. Obviously, the call is Schumer step down. And look, we're in a time when Bernie Sanders and AOC have taken, the road. It's awesome to see that kind of energy. You're also seeing Jasmine Crockett and representatives speak out. But the call to really step down for a leader like Chuck Schumer, we're not seeing. And I know there's a lot to talk about in terms of climate stuff, but I guess I just want to start there. Talk to me about like why these kinds of actions are necessary.
Yeah, I can go ahead and answer this one. These kinds of actions are necessary because for a really long time, elected officials have just been kind of doing whatever they want to do. And it's really important to remind them that we are the people who elected them. They never would have gotten into office without the support of all of us voters. And so kind of doing these actions is a reminder. It's a reminder that, like, hey, we did not vote for you to go out and do these things. We want you to do what is right for us. So kind of these actions are more of a push to have the Democrats be more of a solid opposition instead of just being complacent in everything that's happening with Trump's cronies.
I mean, yeah, they absolutely are. Chuck Schumer thinks he's crushing it.
He's not.
I mean, Drake, how long have you, tell me about a little bit, I want to play more from that, but like, tell me, how long have you been involved in Sunrise, and why did you start getting involved?
It's been on and off for about 5 years. Periods of disillusionment, periods of we can take on the world. Right now, you have no choice but to act. So for me, why I got involved was, I mean, I'm just a kid from East Atlanta. Like, I've seen it. I grew up with asthma. Everybody around me grew up with asthma. You're seeing grandmothers and aunties dying from cancer because we live right next to a power plant. Like, this is life for me every day. So for me, there was no choice but to act. When you see the forces of oligarchy just weighing down on everybody that you love and the communities around you with all the people that look like you, like just on attack every day. And it just feels insurmountable. But what I love the most about being involved in a movement like this is there is hope, and just even in just everyday actions, like, yo, let's take some boxes and let's just put this in front of this man's office and let's say, yo, get this fucker out of here. Like, I mean, like that's real. That's real.
Well, it's not safe, you know, like you guys aren't playing by the rules, you know, of like, you're supposed to, you know, set an appointment, then you lobby them, then you have a nice, you know, then you obviously give some money. And then maybe they'll think about you. Here, and this is, I believe his name is Simon, 18 years old, Senator Schumer's office, asking Schumer step aside. And here's what he had to say.
The fact is, the Sunrise Movement is fighting, and senators like Charles Schumer are doing absolutely nothing. I'm sick and tired of doing the work that senators are supposed to do. I'm 18 years old. I've been organizing since I've been 14, and it's hard and it's challenging, and sometimes it feels overwhelming. And the fact is that I want to be a kid. I want to be able to go to the movie theater with my friends. I want to be able to go out on the weekends. And instead, I'm here in D.C. at Senator Schumer's office because Senator Schumer refuses to fight for us.
He was, I believe, then the cops were called on these folks. So no sit down meeting here, because that's not the way you do things. But Deeksha, maybe the same question to you about why you got involved, and like, you know, just to connect it, you know, to something Drake said, like in terms of the effects on people and communities, like, you know, Lee Zeldin, now the head of the EPA, whose job it seems is just to hollow out the EPA. It's like, that's the requirement. He just got rid of regulations on dumping coal ash into the ground. Right. And they'd been lobbied. I mean, again, these are the lobbies, you know, Washington listens to. And it's like, this is some Mr. Burns level shit. I don't know if that's like, you know, we're still doing Simpsons references, but like, that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for me, I got involved with Sunrise from like a combination of a few different things, including like I got a chance to talk to someone from Sunrise PDX, and I've been watching my family's home city in India, Chennai, get flooded in increasingly severe tropical storms for years and years and years. But at the same time, also, I live in Oregon, right? Mm-hmm. Here we're surrounded by like an unbelievable amount of old growth forests and so much beauty in all of our trees and everything. And the problem with that is all the nature we have here is incredibly fragile. Like, yes, I grew up every year going to Multnomah Falls and hiking to the top. But when the Eagle Creek fire ripped all the way through Oregon, Multnomah Falls, it was too dangerous to go up for years because the ecosystem was destroyed when the fire destabilized all the tree roots. And
No,
It's a combination.
it's like really sad. I mean, I think that's the other thing is like, to me, it is like there's nothing like looking at what is happening to the climate and the destruction that gets you incredibly demoralized. But Drake, to your point, it's like, what choice do you have to fight, especially when communities are being directly poisoned and it's like there's no recourse for that and there's no accountability. I mean, I'm not sure, I mean, there's lawsuits here and there, but it's very, very difficult to hold corporations accountable. I mean, we're now again in this like way I like to call it is like the line in the sand and oligarchy has been drawn. Like the class war is drawn. It's like, which side are you on? Some Democrats are like, well, I can still get some crypto money. And it's like, they don't care about you because nothing you could give them would be better than what they've currently got. They want to go all in on fascism. This is helpful for their movement, no regulations when it comes to the environment. And so it's like, they're never going to love you back. But I do think, I guess my question, maybe there's a lot of ways we could go with this, but it seems like, Sunrise has done these awesome actions and for so long, but also in a way there was like maybe a hope that Joe Biden was going to be a change maker. And in large part he was. I mean, the Inflation Reduction Act was really historic. And, towards the end there, despite the ongoing genocide, there was also this attempt to roll out, I believe, the climate core, the green climate core that Sunrise was pivotal in fighting for. And that was all happening, sadly, again, under this cloud of horrible foreign policy that we're now seeing sort of like, sweep up, students on the streets. But I guess maybe thoughts on like whether Biden was enough, like whether that sort of like reformism was enough, or like whether you really feel like, it's time to go all in on like, like for me, I'm like all in on revolution. Like where does Sunrise come down on like what we need to be fighting for and pushing for?
It was nowhere near enough. And it's never been enough with people like Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton, let's face it, Kamala Harris. Like these are establishment Democrats. This is the old guard. And that's what it's always been. It's half measures. It's status quo. Mm-hmm. It's, and so it's like for us, like we've always maintained that we are fighting an oligarchy and that these are the stakes, that we need a Green New Deal. We need jobs programs by the millions, renewable energy, because we're facing climate catastrophe. And we're pushing up against the guardrails that the world has put in place for us by the second. Yeah. Like 1.5 degrees was the tipping point, right? By some measures, we've already reached that, or at least are like very close to it. Like that story just came out like a couple weeks ago. Like this is the reality. Each year is the hottest year on record. Like, so when we're talking about, okay, yeah, renewable by 2040, X percentage, that's not enough. It's just not enough. So no, Green New Deal for all, healthcare for all, tuition-free college for all, tax breaks for the billionaires. Cut that shit out. Corporate welfare checks, no. Like what are we talking about? But this has always been their policy, just maintaining the status quo. When we push for more, when we push for a real progressive agenda, they are always the ones that are dialing it back, saying, no, it can't happen because of X, Y, and Z. No, Kristen Sinema, Joe Manchin, fuck that. And fuck that, and I feel like if the entire party stood on that message and stood on that power, imagine the millions of Black, brown folks that we could start bringing into the fold, the millions of working class folks we could bring into the fold. So that's what Sunrise has been standing for the entire time.
I mean, say more on that, because I'm curious, and Deeksha, please, jump in, because I do think that when you're saying that, what I'm hearing is you say that, watching your electeds actually fight will galvanize maybe those who stayed home back in November, or communities that have been long forgotten about, like Black and brown communities that are, immigrant communities, the Latino communities, some of whom, decided to jump ship and try their luck with Donald Trump, obviously not working out. But it's just like, it is amazing the signal it sends when you are willing to fight. And it is so telling that how they're fighting fascism lets you know how they actually were trying to fight for us, and it's like, they're not, they weren't. And so, we need this outside pressure. Like we've had, a few people on since the election who were like, maybe we got not sidetracked with trying to push through policy, but the idea that we could take our foot off the gas on real public pressure. Because you're totally, look, the call was coming from inside the building. Kirsten Sinema, Joe Manchin, those are Democrats. So like the Democrats tanked your Build Back Better bill, like that is squarely on you. And we haven't really had a reckoning around those kinds of things. And once again, call is coming from within the building here. 11 senators voting, or 10 or 11 senators voting for this budget bill effectively to give Trump and Musk whatever they want. Deeksha, please weigh in on that, but also maybe, like we're all kind of homeless right now. Sort of like everyone's kind of like, what is happening? What is the crisis? There's a crisis of leadership. Democrats don't know what they're doing. There doesn't seem to be like a national alternative. Obviously there's different groups, DSA, Working Families Party. And I think what's so important right now is to like find your people. And that can be literally anyone, and going and meeting folks face to face, doing actions. It is so in like, I don't know, it is so what's the opposite of demor? Like it's like so enlivening and important and critical. But maybe just talk about like what it is to have a political home, like finding your people.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that Democrats are not our saviors. Like, they were never going to swoop in and make everything perfect for us, right? And we know that, but at the same time, we can't expect to find a perfect place for all of us to go. It's all about creating the right candidates and creating the movements that we need in order to actually make change. And at the same time, you have to realize that political parties are not going to be perfect for us, right? Mm-hmm. In Sunrise, we have the saying, no permanent allies, no permanent enemies. So things are always going to change. So it's all about creating the change that you need to see. And oh my God, that sounded so cheesy, but I do mean it.
Yeah. No, we're in that moment. It's okay. We can all be fully our like most cringy, cheesy selves. No, I think that's exactly, no permanent enemies, no permanent allies. I mean, that is fantastic. The job is the job, and the job is to stop the climate chaos and to hold polluters accountable. I guess I wanted to ask you, because I know you guys have been holding these trainings, virtual trainings, I believe mostly, but kind of like, explain what the trainings are about, and what they're, obviously I'm assuming in response to this, real moment of like present fascism.
Mm-hmm. So our training.
Oh, go ahead, Deeksha, go ahead.
So our trainings were how to end an oligarchy, and most of them were actually in person, with a few that were online. Mm-hmm. Our hub actually ran one of them, but Drake, if you want to go more into depth.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's so sweet. Okay, well, how to end an oligarchy. I went to one like last weekend, so I'm fresh now. How to end an oligarchy trainings. Basically, I'll just sum it right down to 4 key points, because it's kind of what we've been talking about in the last 10 minutes here. 4 key points on how to end an oligarchy. 1, turn public opinion. The public opinion's already turned. Yeah. Everyone is abundantly clear at this point, including moderates and liberals, that this fucker sucks and needs to get out of here. And even some Republicans are like, what? In jobs programs, in Social Security, in medic, what? Right. Yeah. So the public opinion's already turned. All right. 2, what was the next point? A functioning opposition party. That's up in the air. Democratic Party, we know the history. But with mass actions, with speak outs, with the actions like you just played there are ways that we can turn them. There are ways that we can put pressure on them. And Schumer now feels the heat under his ass. All right. 3, this is obviously, for me, most important. And that's why you probably brought us here. Youth and labor unions are always at the center of this day. always at the center of this thing. It starts with the young people. We're the ones that spur actions. Labor unions are the ones that are able to bring capital into the fold and say, oh, now my wallet is under heat. And then fourth and final, Deeksha. Can you remember the fourth and final one?
Fuck shit up.
Fourth and final. I don't remember. But those were three of the four key points. And again, it's abundantly clear. Like for us, it's all about toppling an oligarchy. And it starts with the people. It starts with mass action. And there is power in that. There's abundant power in that. Like if people bring by the millions together and build coalition, we are able to like actually use our voice to turn these people. We've seen it happen. Like over the course of the last 6 years, like with AOC and all the Justice Democrats and all those folks coming into the fold, all of a sudden, Schumer, Biden, they were all talking in an entirely different tone. And there were real concessions made over those campaigns.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, getting Nancy Pelosi pissed off, you know, in 2018 was really key. In terms of, you know, putting the climate emergency on the map in a more sort of in your face way that I think Sunrise really did prove, and I think continues to prove, number one, that, you know, the issue of climate is not separate from other issues of economic, racial, gender justice, and that young people don't separate that stuff, and they know they are getting often politicized and able and having the, you know, the autonomy and the ability to sort of, you know, put shit together and get to work. And also that a lot of organizations in the environmental movement have played it very safe, have either compartmentalized exactly those things or have played it incredibly safe. I mean, you know, you're seeing the parks department being destroyed. Our national parks are being destroyed. That's like Sierra Club 101, you know, like that's the first thing. And again, these are our allies. I'm not trying to call anybody out. I'm just saying, like, you know, the militancy is really warranted. It's been warranted. I guess my other question is, like, I think a lot of people, especially in my audience and myself, are like, if these Dems can't get out of the way, we can't, like, we have to get a new car, you know? And so, you know, is Sunrise thinking about running like Sunrise candidates, you know, even on a local level? Or is the electoralism a little bit of a secondary to really this kind of street pressure, mobilizing and coalition building, as you mentioned? Whomever.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead,
yeah, I mean, for sure. Long-term, our objective is a lot of different things. We are planning student strikes, mass strikes, and yes, electoral work has its place. A lot of times local hubs will endorse candidates. For example, in Portland, Sunrise PDX was endorsing mayoral candidates. However, we don't have 4 years to sit around and kill while we wait for like a perfect presidential candidate. So part of the purpose of all the street pressure is like telling the Democrats right now, like, look at where your constituents are in this moment. If you don't bring us a good candidate in those 4 years. And so it's kind of about, well, we have all this time in between now and our next election. It's time to make it worth it. Because like Drake mentioned earlier, we have passed the 1.5 Celsius. And in the meanwhile, we've pulled out of the Paris Agreement. Like there is no time to sit around and just wait, right? Yeah. The doomsday clock was moved forward. The urgency is here.
No, yeah. So. No, and everything, like we're getting rid of NOAA. Like we have no idea, like we forget.
They're
like
suing
actually,
Habitat for Humanity, like because they got climate grants. Like this is ridiculous.
That's exactly right. And you know, to your point, you're speaking about, you know, being from East Atlanta, people, you know, who have asthma, you know, any programs that were meant to mitigate that kind of harm are also being destroyed. I mean, that's sort of been the right's, you know, it's not even a culture war. It's their sort of openly racist gripe with a lot of climate stuff, is that they hate that there was, like, in their minds, preferential treatment. Hey, how come I don't have asthma and I didn't get money for my home? Like, it's like, buddy, you live in a gated community. You know what I mean? Like that's how crazy it is. And it also shows you, to your point earlier, that like, well, if you're going to freak out about like a grant being given to help like a community clean up a toxic dump or whatever it is, then we should just go for more. We need even more funding. Green New Deal everyone gets to clean up the toxic dumps, like, and you don't even have to like, hey, don't make it about so-called like, historically oppressed communities or Black. You don't have to say that, but we all know that systemically the monopoly man has been poisoning those particular communities for decades now. So it's just
Right.
like, it's all kind of this evidence that we do need to go a lot farther. Any
Absolutely.
final thoughts before I let you guys go? And thank you so much for your time. Other than where can people get involved? That's actually the most important thing. What can people do? How can people get involved with Sunrise? Find their local chapter?
Yeah, I
Sounds
mean,
good. Go ahead, Deeksha.
I think something that really is critical, and the reason why me personally I am all in on Sunrise right now, is because it's really, really easy to feel like you are going absolutely insane. Like the world is falling apart. We have pulled out of WHO. Like everything is falling apart around us, and it's really easy to feel like you're going insane when it doesn't seem like anyone in your daily life is really processing it.
Totally.
And getting involved with something like this is important for multiple reasons, because A, you are actually going out and making that impact, which is so important. But at the same time, you're not losing your mind. You're finding people who think the same as you and have realized there's the problem in the same way that you have.
Yeah.
And finding that kind of community is really critical if we want to be able to hold out for the next 4 years and longer, because we need to have that kind of longevity, and finding a community is critical to that.
Yep. I agree. I was throwing up the Sunrise website. I'll put it back up here if you're listening. Sunrisemovement.org. You can find local chapters, become a member, become a supporter. Okay, I was gonna ask, I was like, what's the age cutoff? I've really been curious about this, but maybe I've been curious about this, and as I've aged out of that, become a 35 plus supporter.
There's a lot of OGs though. There's a
You got
lot
some
of
OGs?
OGs.
You got the
Oh
old
yeah,
coming in?
they're important too. Like yeah, for
Good.
sure.
Good. As long as they, do the whole step up, step back, don't take up too much space.
No, they're good. They're good.
So even if you're a little bit older, you can find a way to get involved. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
Okay. Amazing. Sunrisemovement.org. Deeksha, Drake, thank you guys so much for doing what you're doing. And everybody subscribe also to their mailing list so you can find out when there's more actions, more any trainings. Are you guys going to be part of the April 5th actions, the day of action? Are you plugged into that or not necessarily? I think it's the 50-51 movement. I'm sure you will be. It's fine.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Well, we'll be on the lookout for more stuff, but thank you
yeah.
so much, both of you, for being on. Thanks for taking the time. Take very good care. And thank you all for being here. I've like, Sunrise is one of those organizations that I'm like, they've got this like special sauce, like the magic sauce, and to me that militancy is really part of that magic sauce, because I can't deal anymore with this like halfway BS. Before I move on, there's so many super chats, but I have to do my due diligence and let you know that sometimes lately, especially, it's been hard to go night at night because of massive channels doing videos about how evil you are and how terrible you are. So our good friends at Sunset Lake CBD help me turn off my brain, stop thinking about my response video, and go to sleep with their good night gummies that have CBD, CBN, and melatonin in them. SunsetLakeCBD.com. They're Vermont-based, vertically integrated, regeneratively farmed CBD, or you know what it is. And they're awesome. They're such an awesome company. They have tinctures as well. They have gummies. As I mentioned, they have like salves, they have coffee, they have chocolate, they have smokables. They are awesome, and they're a sponsor of the Bitchuation Room. Go to sunsetlakecbd.com for 20% off your order. Use coupon code FRANTIFA, FRANTIFA. Oh, you didn't know I was a corporate shill? Oh, you didn't know about me? You didn't know about me being a corporate shill? Fuck yeah. Thank you, everyone who is up in the chat. I'm going to throw some super chats up. Oh my God. Creep Ferratu says, "You're a treasure. I'm so proud of you. I decided a long time ago I was in your corner." Thank you so much, Creep Ferratu. I like your name. Thank you for the super chat. Vygotsky says, "You're so better off for not being associated with the young grifters. It's sad, but you're a bigger and better person than CNA. When are you and Matt moving to Ireland? Free Palestine." Oh my God, I would love to. I really would. Really would. Medphys Alex, thank you for your super chat. A couple of weeks ago, I mentioned my wife might lose her job because of cuts to DEI programs. Yesterday, she found out that program will indeed be cut, so she will be losing her job. I'm so sorry. Let us know if there's anything we can do to support you. That's awful. I mean, this is the kind of thing, this is like, that actually brings me to one of the stories that I wanted to talk about, because this is a DEI program. Trump pulls research funding to protect pregnant women from domestic violence, citing DEI. Of course it is, because it's about women. Hey, how come there aren't programs to prevent domestic violence among men who can get pregnant? Huh? Oh, you'd probably have to believe in like trans men or whatever, you know what I'm saying, to make that whole leap happen. And they don't. Homicide by an abusive partner is a leading cause of death for pregnant women in the United States. Let me read that again. Homicide by an abusive partner is the leading cause of death for pregnant women in the United States. The Trump administration then abruptly pulled funding last week for a research grant meant to protect pregnant women because it was categorized as DEI. That's from the NIH, which granted a funding for a 2-year project to create a training program for early career clinicians to measure intimate partner violence and pregnancy. The leading cause of death among pregnant and postpartum women, even postpartum, okay, we're talking about new moms, is homicide by a domestic partner. The grant was awarded last September after hundreds of hours of work from the researchers, scientists, and other staff, including some NIH grant officers. 3 of the 4 lead researchers told HuffPost the goal was to create a 3-day hybrid. It's not even permanent. A 3-day hybrid training program for OBGYNs, public health researchers, and other clinicians across the country. President Donald Trump has pledged to protect women. Oh, thank you, HuffPost, for reminding us that he said that. And yet research that could go on to save the lives of thousands of pregnant women and mothers has been unceremoniously cut. The move is particularly confounding given Trump's Supreme Court repealed federal abortion protections, leading to nearly 20 states enacting abortion bans and forcing more people to stay pregnant. Yeah, the cruelty is the point. Women being battered and brutalized is disrespected. I mean, how many accused sexual predators are in the White House? It's like Epstein Island ran aground in D.C. That's what it is. How many NDAs do each of these men have among them? Donald Trump, already a convicted, let's be real, convicted rapist, sexual abuse. We know what you did, buddy. We know what you did. You had to pay through the nose for it. I'm pretty sure you still owe money on that. E. Jean Carroll, man, I need her name. I need her face on a fucking shirt. So this is a perfect example of the kinds of things that are getting funding cut for them. The diversity, equity, and inclusion studies, it was basically they were gutted when they found out that they canceled their funding because it no longer effectuates agency priorities. The NIH immediately terminated the grant instead of the standard protocol to temporarily suspend it because, quote, no modification of the project could align with the agency's priorities. Of course they couldn't. Of course they couldn't, because it's about pregnant women. It's about domestic. They don't care. They don't care. Again, you guys, they are literally just searching. They're find all women, find all gay or LGBTQ, right? To the point where things that aren't even the full words are cut. It seems like, that's how, like, the condoms in Gaza was perpetuated as a lie because they were just Control F Gaza, which is in Africa. Forgot which country. I apologize. But like, this is it. Okay, we got some more to get to. Oh my God. Robert says, if we beat Trump, Dems will take a victory lap. yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any. I think there's going to be more of a like, I don't know how long we're going to last here. We're going to talk about Argentina in a little bit. Maybe we should take a page out of their book. Don M says, I've been with you since the COVID days. Thank you, Don, for that very, very generous super chat. Gaza's in Mozambique. Thank you. Thank you so much. Benjamin Morrill says, at work now, can't kissed, I don't know what you mean, but going to save this and have in one ear at the Tesla protest tomorrow in Milford, Connecticut. We fight. Aw, no, you got to be present for that. But thank you, Benjamin Morrill. You do your work. Tyrone Moss says, I wish TYT free falls like Tesla. We riding with you, Franny. I don't necessarily wish a free fall on them, but it is sad. Thank you, Yilva. Of course, been a patron or patron since the spring of 2020. I encourage everyone to become one for Antifa forever. Thank you so much, Yilva. And thank you, Grumpy Dragon. Francesca, you're crushing it. Loved you on the Vanguard. Hey, yes, I was on the Vanguard earlier. That was super fun. Moon Dragon, I quit TYT in the middle of Jenk's butthurt rant. I'm here for you. Thank you, Moon Dragon. I hope to deliver, guys. And you know what? With your support, we can. I have a very small team. 3 people work with me, and I do pay them. But of course, none of them are like, none of us are making tons of money here. So, but with your money, we can help book guests, better guests, stream more days of the week, longer, have more time to dedicate to all of this. So it really makes a difference. Jeremy Justice, actually, this move is more evil than Mr. Burns because Mr. Burns supported nuclear power, which despite its flaws is cleaner and more renewable than coal. True. I'm not pro nuclear power. I know that makes I've spent too much time around like plowshares movement people and Quakers and pacifists to be like, yay, nuclear power. And I know that's nuclear warheads, but you know what I'm saying. Brian Hughes, Republicans, Democrats feed from the same trough. What will it take to tip it over? Exactly. Getting money out of politics. Sweet Ain Dragon, so sorry you decided to go after Jank rather than fight for what will win elections. I was your first paid subscriber on YouTube. That's amazing. Thank you, Sweet Ain Dragon. And I'm sorry that you have that perspective because I didn't decide to go after Jank. That's not at all what happened. I never decided to go after Jank at all. Jank, after the election, decided that he would make the rounds on right-wing outlets and not at all to hold them accountable for some of the awful things that they've said, some of the ways that they have fluffed authoritarians and fascists like the administration we see now, made excuses, propagandized, lied to people, told everyone it was about wokeness. And instead of fighting them on their platforms, he decided to agree with them. And I encourage you, Sweden, if you haven't, look up Jank and Charlie Kirk. You can Google that. I encourage you to Google Jank and Jillian Michaels. I encourage you to Google Jank and Tim Pool. I encourage you to Google Jank PBD podcast and just watch. I know if you like him, awesome. I hope you like him in those venues and watch those interviews. You can also, and make up your own mind, right? So what I did was I actually talked to him about what he was doing because I had some issues with it at a time when Donald Trump was about to assume office. And I thought it was quite dangerous to do what he was doing and felt like the progressive movement that, has supported TYT for so long would probably not be okay with this. And it seemed sort of out of pocket, honestly. And he got very mad at me. He yelled at me and he told me that it was crazy that I thought there would be detention centers and camps. And now we see what's happened. I have not gotten I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'm not waiting for that. But the idea that I went after him is not true. When I called Cenk Uygur acting like a bitch. I didn't call him a bitch. I said he was acting like a bitch. It's because he was talking about me on an RFK Jr. supporting podcast. Jillian Michaels, very maha, very anti-trans. And he was using me as an example. Didn't call my name, but he was using me as an example. So I beg of you to know that it was never been my intention to go after Cenk. It was my intention to actually try to understand where he was coming from. And I felt like he revealed a lot in his answers. So if you haven't seen that debate with me and him, please go watch it. And also please go watch him and other right wingers and just let me know, check back with me, say, yep, I love it, I stand by it, or no, I get it, why you might want to criticize that and have some issues with that and perhaps not be associated, especially with the main show any longer. Yeah. MedFizz says, following up on his wife losing his job, although my family's being directly impacted by these cuts, I feel worse about the Black and brown students in the program who won't be able to finish their degrees to pursue PhDs. I feel you. Nathan, Jenk was acting like a bitch. Started watching TDR back in the pandemic. You and John got me through a big rough patch during that. You fucking slay. Thank you, Nathan. Pega says, I just found my new one-sided parasocial fave and heard her on the Vanguard interview. She's married to Matt Lieb. I am. Goddamn Matt, leftist power couple, adopt me. I'll bring snacks to the revolution. We were thinking about having a second kid, so thank you for that super chat. Stoot Kids Viking Bear President. Hello from UK. Love your channel. Thank you. Thank you. Zane the Magic Puffer Dragon. Yes, was at my live show on Wednesday at in Pasadena. You and James and Trey and Chloe were hilarious. Love seeing you again, Francesca. Can't wait till May. I'm excited for your B-Day. Yes, May 21st we'll be back. We'll be back April 23rd. April 23rd, a monthly show over at the Ice House in Pasadena. Archaic Soda, thank you so much for that. Rachel says, Jank's always been an ally of convenience. Oof. Ali Bubble says, thank you, Francesca, for giving the TYT diaspora a home. Dude, that's not, yes, it is and it isn't my intention, but thank you so much for being here. Let's dive into it because there's a lot to get to. You guys remember free speech? You remember, we got a chatter. We got I believe it's Ben, my boy, who's going out. A lot of you have gone out and protested outside of Tesla dealerships. It's pretty chill. It's pretty normal. There's probably a Tesla dealership in your town. And this is a bridge too far for Mr. Free Speech. He's okay when he has to throw his heart out. Okay? He's okay when he allows Holocaust denying memes and actual anti-Semitism, not speaking out against Israel, when he allows that on his platform, the artist formerly known as Twitter. But it's a bridge too far, and he's back on Fox News just with all the tears. And again, this has been a week where news of Pam Bondi, Attorney General, saying that, people protesting outside of Tesla or like flipping the bird at a Tesla, or targeting Tesla will be charged with domestic terrorism. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. They all are very upset that a few Teslas got burned down in Las Vegas, which again was very uncool. Nobody looked at the fire and thought it was cool. And but it kind of got eclipsed by the whole, oops, I leaked a bunch of coordinates for F-18 bombings in Yemen to a journalist and shit. But here is Elon Musk back on his, back crying.
It's the people pushing the propaganda that caused that guy to do it. Those are the real villains here.
So he's talking about the person who was burning the dealership, right? So he's saying oh my God, he thinks it's more nefarious. So there's no way this could be me in my role as an unelected billionaire sitting right hand to the president, hollowing out, long-standing agencies that have helped lift Americans out of poverty, keeping them out of poverty, like Social Security, like Medicaid, making sure they stay living with a roof over their heads and they are not sick, and that, children with mental disabilities and physical disabilities get, education, or seniors eat or whatever. Couldn't be that, people like, our dear friend in the chat are losing and their families are losing their jobs because a program to prevent domestic violence on pregnant women is being thrown away because of DEI. That couldn't be it. It couldn't be that. It must be Soros. It must be AstroTurf, guys. And I need you to understand, whenever you see what appears to be like a genuine right-wing movement, whether it was the Tea Party or whether it was some of the like the anti-mask protests, or that there's the right doesn't understand organic protests, because their movements are always astroturfed. Okay, their media outlets are astroturfed by big billionaire funders. We just talked about Sunrise Movement fighting against fossil fuel industry. So many fossil fuel billionaires refunnel their money into propagandistic outlets like the Daily Wire, Breitbart, whatnot. He cannot fathom that this is organic, because of course he can't. He cannot fathom people hate him this much. Of course he can't, because that is what their movement does.
And we're going to go after them. And the president's made it clear, we're going to go after them. The ones providing the money, the ones pushing the lies and propaganda, we're going after them.
Yes, the man who, this is the South African who, God, why can't we deport this guy? He said that the problem with the West is that it has too much empathy. You guys remember? Let's just pause, because you might have missed this. Elon Musk wants to save Western civilization, guys, from empathy. It's not really about save it from, the brown hordes, the savages. It's just empathy. The problem isn't that you're losing your job and you don't know where your next paycheck is coming from, or you're losing your Social Security, or you have to go in person to confirm your Social Security status, even though you cannot drive, even though the Social Security offices are being closed around you. The problem is that we have empathy for the elderly. We shouldn't have empathy. Save Western civilization from empathy. This is what he said to Joe Rogan. Okay? If they had another 4 years, they would legalize enough illegals in the swing states to make the swing states not swing states. Oh, great replacement theory. Who is they? What came next in the conversation may shine a light on what motivates Musk to cut down the size of the government and melds with his takeover, purchase, and founding of the company in the private sector. It's the belief that empathy for individuals is costly to the collective. We've got a civilizational suicidal empathy going on, Musk said. I love that. Like, I love when the villain can just be fully a villain, That's the problem, I think, with sometimes, corporate Democrats, is they're always like, we're doing this out of the goodness of our hearts, also my pocketbook. And you're like, obviously, there's a difference. There is a marked difference, I understand, between full-blown fascists. But there is something refreshing about, like there is no more attempt to be the good guys. This is not the "Are we the baddies" sketch. This is the "We know we're the baddies. We shouldn't have empathy. We're going to go after the people who demonstrate against Tesla." Because, I don't know, even though my own shareholders, the executives of my company are totally dumping their shares of Tesla, it's, we're going to go after people. And again, speaking of climate justice movements, it has been done before. Dealerships get burned down in protest, usually because in an act of protest against car culture and against fossil fuels. That's been done, and it's always labeled terrorism. So we are not really in totally new territory here. But we are in new territory when it comes to people being disappeared off the streets. This week, this is the third week that Mahmoud Khalil has been in detention in Louisiana, in a prison there, I believe in Gina. And it looks like that is the prison of choice for the roundups that are happening of specifically students on visas or who are green card holders. Students who dared to protest against Israel. Okay? And let me just say, I have so much to say on this, but the tracking of speech when it comes to students on Palestine has been happening for decades. The tracking of professors has been happening for decades. Well-funded Zionist organizations see it as part of their mission, their canary mission, to go after anyone who speaks about Palestine, in part because they know that usually on college campuses is kind of where like people start learning about Israel Palestine. They start learning about the occupation. They learn about the ever encroaching amount of settlements. They learn about the violence. They learn about the displacement. They learn about the wars on Gaza. This has not been the first assault on Gaza. They learn about 48, the Nakba. And it's like, oh, okay, because often they learn about colonialism, right? And so in the legacy of colonialism, they're learning about it. And so, of course, they have to be tracked, they have to be silenced. And ultimately, if and when you elect an authoritarian, they're going to weaponize all of the things that these organizations have handed over to them. And basically, just like with Mahmoud Khalil, you can tweet at Marco Rubio and get someone disappeared. Now, this is Rumeysa Ozturk. I'm probably mispronouncing her name. She's a Turkish national, but she's I believe a PhD student at Tufts University, and she is being accosted on the street by no less than 6 masked individuals, which is very fitting because, again, part of all this like drive to clamp down on protests is to get rid of anyone who covers their faces so they can identify you. And everyone, honestly, if you're going to be in a Palestine protest and you might be a student or at risk, honestly, I would say cover your face. Here, and she's being approached. Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. Can we stop? Okay. We're 3 seconds in. Hi, ma'am. Can we talk to you? Hands on her. There are hands on her within 3 seconds of being approached. Hands on her wrist, straight up. Already terrifying. Can we talk to you? Putting hands on her. There's 1, 2. They took her phone. Three, 4, 5. Here's 6. All wearing masks. Fuck these people, yo. Fuck these lumen ass motherfuckers. How much lumen energy are you feeling right now? I'm sorry, I just finished Severance and I'm just like, ugh. Now you can hear them say, we're the police. You're not the police. You're not the police. Now she's being handcuffed. There's someone who is filming this who says, you don't look like the police. Why are you hiding your faces?
Why are you hiding your face?
Oh my, now she's being led away. So there's someone filming, and this is really critical, guys. Like, part of me is like, why didn't someone step in and stop it? But what you can do, you can sign up, by the way, for ICE alerts in your community, and you can be alerted to if there is any kind of activity. And honestly, if you have time or if those alerts are happening near you, go film them. Truly go film ICE agents, go film their cars. If you are in a position, you are a citizen, go film them. Again, her name is Rumeysa Ozturk. She was in Somerville, Massachusetts. She's a Turkish national. And what did she do? She wrote an op-ed, people. She wrote an op-ed asking the University of Tufts to divest from Israel. That's what she did. Mahmoud Khalil was on the negotiating committee with the University of Columbia. Apparently, Tufts had no warning that they were going to do this, which you're like, okay, but you kind of did because it's been 3 weeks since Mahmoud Khalil was disappeared. So you kind of knew that anyone who was part of any movement was probably going to have a target on their back. It's just, we are really in some unprecedented territory for this country. I mean, precedented and unprecedented, right? It's happening in new ways. It's happening around speech. It's happening specifically in the service of a foreign ally. We obviously have used things like the Alien Enemies Act that is being used right now to hold Venezuelans in El Salvador in order to detain 200,000 Japanese Americans by sole virtue of the fact that they were Japanese. This is the same shit. Very similar. Now, Marco Rubio says, no, he stands by this. He doesn't even acknowledge how awful it is. There's no acknowledgement of how scary what is happening is. He stands by the idea that he's with the Guyanese president. Okay, this is like actually kind of crazy because there was a woman who was arrested by ICE, unclear her circumstances, but she was, if people have links to that, send them to me, or if you know more about it. She was arrested by ICE, unclear why, but she wrote something about the Guyanese government so they might be doing this even when you're not speaking out against Israel.
We revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it, and here's why. And I'll say it again. I said it everywhere. Let me be abundantly clear, okay? If you go apply for a visa right now, anywhere in the world, let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in. Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree.
Hang on, just a quick side note, quick sort of, in parens here. Why would any democratic country not do that? I think what he means to say is, why would any authoritarian country allow that to happen? Why would any reactionary country allow that to happen? Why would any fascist country allow that to happen? Because trust me, I've lived in other countries. This is the part where Francesca talks about living in Argentina. I lived in Buenos Aires. We'll talk about Argentina in a second because this happened there as well. But Argentina has a university system, used to, until Captain Chainsaw came at it, that was one of the most prestigious in South America. People from all over South America would go study at the University of Buenos Aires. Well, the University of Buenos Aires is very well known for its mass demonstrations. You walk in and, oh my God, 19-year-old me is like, because it's like banners everywhere, all these different tables, a different political organization, a different flavor of Marxist, Leninist, Maoist, whatever the fuck, you know what I mean? And nothing in between, all kinds of dope organizations that you could join to do like direct service work, to do like movement building work, to do pop ed work. There's like a feminist organization. Shit is dope up in there, right? Now, there are foreign students all the time. There's Brazilian students, there's Chilean students, right? There's students from all over the world. But Argentina is not revoking their visas because they participated in a march. At least, again, not in a democratic Argentina. So you can totally say what you're saying, but please use the proper terminology. No authoritarian country would do that. A democratic country would absolutely do that. Because freedom of speech, as per in the Constitution I thought you cared about, that you swore an oath to protect when you took your office, that country defends the right to free speech for people, yes, who are visitors, who are studying. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to contribute to like some breakthrough STEM research at one of our prestigious universities? Like be very clear about this. And this guy loves this shit. This Marco Rubio, who, by the way, every single senator voted to confirm. He was supposed to be one of the good ones. He was supposed to be just like a regular neocon. I thought we were just going to invade other countries. Yay. You know, but now he's going to do the dirty war here on American citizens. Ooh.
Not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. And if we've given you a visa and then you decide to do that, we're going to take it away.
Okay, where was the crime though? I'm sorry. First of all, why would a woman in Massachusetts be held responsible for the non-criminal actions of Colombia? Guys, it is not a crime. You go in and you sit in a building. These are violations, y'all. These are citations often. Okay? And so you're going to hold a random woman accountable because she, like, just be honest. You're not being honest. The honest answer is she wrote an op-ed that doesn't make my patron country, Israel, look good. And that's why we had to revoke her student visa, and not just revoke her student visa and say, hi, Miss Ozturk, you know, look, we're kind of fascists around here. So if you could just let you know, we revoked your student visa. We're going to give you 60 days to leave the country, you know, because we're terrible. Thanks. Anyway, if you need any, like, you know, help with that, we're happy to help. No. They disappeared her off the streets, and now allegedly she is in the same prison where they're holding Mahmoud Khalil in Louisiana. So even if you wanted to do this a little bit humanely, they don't. Why? They want that image. They like it. They want that. They want to scare us. That's the point. Oh, let me just go to trackapac.com/Trump. Marco Rubio has collected over $1 million in campaign contributions from AIPAC and the Israeli lobby since first elected to the Senate in 2010. Bought and sold by a genocidal regime. But I do think that old Marco Rubio would have something to say about this. Breakthrough News has this great little mashup, you know, because look, college kids say stuff. They do stuff. How can they just be held accountable for anything they might say and do?
Every single person in this room and the overwhelming majority of people that you know are one word away. It doesn't matter if you're 13 years old when you said it. You're one word, you're one statement, you're one retweet, you're one like away from destroying your life. There are kids in America that have had their admissions to a college revoked. There are now certain things that you're not allowed to say on a college campus.
Mr. Secretary, a Turkish student in Boston was detained and handcuffed on the street by plainclothes agents. A year ago, she wrote an opinion piece about the Gaza war. Could you help us understand what the specific action she took led to her visa being revoked?
Yeah,
and what was your State Department's role in that process?
We revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist.
There we go. There it is. So, oh no, you're just one little N-word slip away, and we defend the right of our students to say the N-word. I love that he's like, you're just one word away, and you're like, what's that word? What's that word, dog? Tell me that word. You know you want to say that word. Like, which nobody is saying you should be disappeared for, yes, saying something racist. You know, I don't like it, but in part, that is kind of what the First Amendment is about. I don't also think you should have it running rampant on your social media platforms. That creates an incredibly hostile environment. And sure as shit, advertisers don't like it, but I'll put that aside. These are people who've long been defending, usually white college students who like get drunk and do blackface and are like, why can't I get a college acceptance? You know what I mean? And now under their watch, college students are being disappeared. But that's okay. They're all brown, you know? It's okay. More on that. Young So Chung, also Columbia Student University, been in this country since she was 7. Mamadou Tal, who is a Cornell University, I believe, grad student, has been denied by a judge the ability to put a stay on his arrest, his deportation, basically. He's denied his bid to immediately stop the government from trying to deport him. Mamadou is kind of an amazing figure. He was recently, I believe it was his second time on Democracy Now! And if you haven't watched it, I mean, I encourage you to. He is here from an undisclosed location, staying strong.
Why is this issue so important to you?
So, sorry, he's asked, why is this issue so important to you? The issue is Gaza. The issue is Palestine.
I appreciate the question. I've said it before on your show, but I think for me, Palestine fundamentally holds up a mirror to the world and asks the question, what kind of world do we want to live in? And I think as tough as this moment is for me personally, it pales in comparison to what the Palestinians are going through. And I think this is, for me, a generational defining moment, a generational defining issue. And I think if the numbers of 18,000 children did not move people to action, then I don't think this is a world that we can be a part of or be proud of or want to even continue, because we have to ask ourselves, why is it there's a Palestine exception? What is it about the Palestinian issue that goes at the heart of this country? And what does it say? What questions does it force us to interrogate and engage with the world in this moment? So I think fundamentally, I'm still a human being. I have an alive heart and I cannot retire my moral conscience. So regardless of sacrifice I have to make or the consequence, for me, that Palestine goes at the heart of the world today. And I think it's a generational defining issue.
Okay, I love this answer, and it just shows you he's also like, no matter what I'm going through, it's nothing compared to what the people of Gaza are going through. And it is a generationally defining issue right now. It is no longer on the side, it is squarely in the middle. It really does intersect with everything, where we're putting our money, what we think about the limits of, not the limits, but when we're seeing where the state puts limits on the freedom of speech. You can be a Charlottesville demonstrator saying Jews will not replace us. You will carry your tiki torch and wear your little nerd ass, khakis and shirt, scream for the cameras, and cops will not do shit to you. Okay? A couple people lost their jobs. That sucked, but that's on the company. Do you think we're pursuing? We have all those people's faces. We know everybody who was at Charlottesville the night before and the same day. We know all those people. Some of them were arrested on January 6th. Where are they? Oh, they got let out. Okay? Nah, man. The state is very, very clear on who it will allow express themselves and who it won't. And by my watch, I believe the Unite the Right rally actually killed a woman. Her name was Heather Heyer, lest we forget. Actual anti-Semites killed a woman, lest we forget. So this is a defining moment. And the reason it's a defining moment beyond it really cuts through the two-party nature of the way sometimes we think about things. It's like, well, George W. Bush invaded Afghanistan and Iraq, and that was bad. Obviously, I protested against that. And we can see that that's bad because that was like a Republican war. And yay, I'm glad that Biden pulled out of Afghanistan finally. But Israel really preys upon the liberal empathy that this is the just thing to do to to right the wrongs of the Holocaust, right? That we must allow Israel to do whatever it does, killing and maiming children, pregnant women, bombing hospitals, schools, aid workers, right? Journalists. That is all okay because we are trying to purge ourselves of the icky feeling that the Holocaust happened by doing another kind of Holocaust, right? By doing a genocide. But it's a genocide for good. It's a genocide for good. That is the difference. It really does cut to the heart of empty, honestly, like empty identity politics, empty, sort of democratic war for good bullshit. Because these people, I mean, what's so funny about this is like, you do know that all these people were protesting Biden, right? You kind of hate Biden, don't you? They hated Biden too. There's more. Ali Reza Daroudi, 22 years old from University of Alabama, doctoral student from Iran, detained early Tuesday morning on his off-campus home. I believe, I don't know what Youngso Chung is doing right now. I think she got a court order to actually not get her she has a temporary restraining order. So she's not being detained yet. Badr Kansuri, Indian citizen, was teaching at Georgetown University. I mean, this is just chilling, guys. There's videos, flyers of him. And obviously people are protesting, as they should be. And I just want to mention that in the last few years, for people who follow the right's memes, there have been these memes going around called free helicopter rides. There's a free helicopter ride meme, and people wear shirts that say free helicopter rides, and it is a picture of a helicopter and people who are falling out of the helicopter. Now, here's one meme, and it says, "It's not enough to be passively not communist. We must be actively anti-communist." Okay? So this is the free helicopter ride. I don't know, what is that? What's that referring to? What's going on here? Now, it is kind of fitting. First of all, I found out about this tweet because council member Chi Ose, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right, who I'd love to get on this show, New York City council member, would put this out because actually another council member, Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, retweeted someone who tweeted this out. So these are people who are holding office, and this is just cursory. Like, I saved this bookmark because I was like, I need to talk about this at some point. But you guys can tell me, you've seen these memes. These memes have been shared by far more important people than Vicky Palladino. And they are in reference to the dirty wars of South America by the military juntas and dictatorships of Augusto Pinochet and Jorge Videla and the military junta in Argentina. Okay, beginning in the late 70s, I believe. I mean, Pinochet lasted for forever. That dude was in power for forever. The military junta only in power for 7 years, but oh boy, what 7 years they were. And one of the things they did is that they arrested and detained so-called guerrillas, which really meant often and especially going after any academics, intellectuals, students, student organizers. They drugged them and then they pushed them out of planes or helicopters into the ocean. 30,000 people were disappeared in Argentina during those years, and I think about 45 or around the same number in Chile. Of course, we don't have official accounts. And up until the early 2000s, the people who were involved in the military junta in Argentina, they were walking around. They were just walking around because it wasn't seen as an objective to hold these people accountable for the crimes that they committed. And there's an entire Intercept article that actually came out a few years ago about the Trumpers using the Hoppy and Snake offering free helicopter rides. They're advocating a program of extermination. So here you see, oh, I see all their faces. That's funny. They're not being rounded up. They look like kids. The Hoppy and Snake is the image that consists of a coiled serpent sporting the officer's cap of a notorious Chilean general, Augusto Pinochet. In the background, fly childlike depictions of helicopters from which stick figures are jettisoned to their deaths, crying "ah" in barely legible scrawl. In one of its many variants, the snake as Pinochet proclaims with a sardonic smirk, "I'm evil for throwing people out of helicopters." False. Commies aren't people. Fun. It's unclear why Pinochet is depicted as a snake, though it may be inspired by the recalcitrant snake on the Gadsden flag that warns, "Don't tread on me." Far from being a joking homage to Pinochet, the pushdist, tyrant, torturer, mass murderer, puppet of the CIA, and hater of all things socialist who ruled Chile from 1973 to 1990, the fetishized totem of the Hoppy and Snake is a dire significance for U.S. paramilitaries. When Boogaloo Boys, Proud Boys, Three Percenters, Oath Keepers, Armed Trumpists, and the like wear T-shirts that offer, quote, free helicopter rides, they are referencing a program of extermination. And we are seeing that program play out right now. Okay, this idea of specifically targeting university students for their speech, getting rid of them. Look, we're not there yet. But you can see this is not just a meme. This is what they want. And I wanted to play a little bit of a couple of documentaries, very, very briefly. Hopefully it doesn't get flagged. Kind of about what it was like back in the days of the military junta, who they targeted, what they did.
Belief was that after 18 years in exile, he would come back and restore Argentina. Got 60% of the vote.
They're talking about Juan Domingo Perón, obviously comes back into power. He dies. His wife assumes her name was Isabel. And then the junta takes over.
We knew it was going to come, yes. We had a tip-off guy in Government House who used to call us up and he'd say, well, the tanks are going to roll, but it's not tomorrow, it'll be the day afterwards. It was inevitable.
Se comunica a la población que a partir de la fecha el país se encuentra bajo el control operacional.
The country is under an operational control of a military junta.
Se recomienda a todos los habitantes.
All inhabitants are ordered to advise any orders or instructions issued by the military, security, or police forces, and to avoid individual or group activities and attitudes that might require the drastic intervention of security personnel.
Firmado Jorge Rafael Videla.
Signed, Jorge Rafael Videla, Lieutenant General and General Commander of the Army.
I mean,
that's a nice little Roman salute.
Coups in Argentina. Revolution in Argentina is, there are more deaths in a Mexican wedding than in an Argentine coup. And to some extent that was true. When the coup came, people would go to the Casa Rosada to see what was going on. And this was so different, and to begin with, we didn't know it was different. We didn't know that it was going to be different. People didn't turn up. People were taken away and they didn't turn up again.
So he's like, we didn't know this was going to be any different. People kind of liked the administration. They were like, oh, okay, it's a change. Who knows? Until people just disappeared.
Doctor López, que pase el testigo siguiente.
Señor presidente, el próximo testigo.
Hang on, I'm going to skip forward a little bit.
Quite a crowd, about 30, 40 people. The crowd.
Anyway, I can't find the, I don't want to watch the whole thing, but people were swept up. They were disappeared. They, fun fact, 500 babies were stolen from the people who were disappeared. and given to the families of the military. That's right. So they had their babies in captivity, then they were killed, and then their children were separated from their families, not given back to them, and raised by a military leader's family. Good shit. And they are still finding the grandchildren of the military, of the people who were disappeared. Just wild kind of stuff. There is another moment from another documentary that I wanted to play. Here we go. So this is a little bit about the stolen children.
They were parallel organizations.
Every Thursday, both groups would march in silent protest around the Plaza de Mayo, the famed city square that sat opposite the presidential palace.
These are the
It wasn't
women
long before their silence began to be heard around the globe.
The mothers looking for their
brave
kids.
work demonstrated to the whole world that something horrible was going on in Argentina.
But I wanted to just say the women, the mothers and the grandmothers of Plaza de Mayo they implored everybody. They went to every single authority. Nobody would listen to them. They said, my children are missing. They've been disappeared. Nobody would listen to them. They went to the Vatican. They said 18 times. Nobody would listen to them. They could only rely on the media because literally no one would believe them or listen to them that their children had been disappeared by the state.
The dictatorship lasted 7 years. During that time, as many as 30,000 people were tortured and killed at detention camps all over the country. While many of the victims were buried in mass graves, nearly 5,000 were taken to a camp known simply as the ESMA.
At the beginning, they would set up huge bonfires and cremate the bodies. Once the number of people captured started growing, that was no longer a viable method. So then they decided to use military planes. They would drug the prisoners at the ESMA till they were in a kind of half awake, half asleep state, load them on the planes, and throw them into the Atlantic Ocean.
Now, I think it's really important to know why they targeted, academics and why they targeted people. We're talking like these are like writers. These are, I'm trying to find it, but there was a young woman who her crime, she was just about to, these are young organizers and activists who were radicalized in school, but not even. And, they were doing actual solidarity work with, like, for example, mass shanty towns. So they were organizing the shanty towns against demolition. So they were doing like economic justice work that was seen as subversive. It's akin to if you've ever done any kind of like, I don't know, blanket distribution during the winter months to homeless people in your neighborhood or anything like that, or any organization that you might donate to or that you might volunteer with, or that, you're stopping the mass evictions of which Gavin Newsom likes to be part of. It's akin to criminalizing people for doing those kinds of actions, because that is, to quote Elon, that's empathy. That needs to be stamped out, right? That's activism. And they targeted intellectuals because they were great at getting their message out. They were sort of upwardly mobile. They are the messengers of their generation. And I always, living there, I always thought, like, imagine if 30,000 people had survived. It's like, it's not just any 30,000. Imagine today, sort of a comparable number of people. It's like, if 1 million people in the United States are disappeared, but they are the 1 million people who are the organizers, they are the writers, they are the professors, right? They are the church leaders. They are specifically the people that need to be taken out to kneecap an entire movement, right? To kneecap a revolution, to kneecap anyone from doing something similar. And just to that end, it is important to know that not only people who are speaking out for Palestine are being arrested, but immigrant rights organizers and anyone who would speak for and advocate for organizers. So Alfredo Lelo Juarez Zerefino, I forgot exactly where he was. He's a farm worker. He's a farm worker activist, guys. He was detained by ICE agents, transferred to the Tacoma facility. Let's just read a little bit of this because this is wild. Bellingham Herald, let's go. Pacific Northwest, I've got news for you very soon. Prominent Whatcom County farming labor activist who was detained by ICE agents Tuesday has been moved to a federal detention center in Tacoma. Supporters plan to hold a protest at the facility Thursday. Alfredo Lelo Juarez Zeferino, 25, was arrested at 7 a.m. at Cedro Woolley. He was originally taken to the ICE facility in Ferndale, moved to Tacoma a day later. He'd been living in the States for 12 years since he was 13 years old. According to Liz Darrow, Participatory Democracy Program Coordinator for Community to Community Development, a grassroots organization dedicated to supporting farm worker rights, climate justice, and civic engagement. 200 people protest outside the ICE office. That's amazing. But again, these are people who specifically do work in their community. That is the point. And there was another woman in Denver who was arrested, also by ICE, also an immigrant organizer, Jeanette Vizguera. So, like, it's not just one group of people. It is a lot of them. It is a lot of different folks. And there's a point. There's a political point. It's political persecution. All the bullshit that the right said, Biden's using the DOJ's weaponizing. He's weaponizing. No, they're doing it. And the last thing, I mean, we just have to point out, like, I haven't looked at this on my show. I did on Zeteo the other night. Oops. But this is Kristi Noem, you guys. This is a Homeland Security Barbie, straight up. This is oops, I filled it again. She is here in the prison where innocent Venezuelans, some of whom were picked up simply for having tattoos, picked up at work, who are innocent, seeking asylum in the United States, are being held in a country that they are not even from, in a prison. Like, isn't it enough that you deport them? What's the crime? If you think that living in this country is such a terrible crime, just deport them. We all know you're lying. We know you're lying about them being in violent gangs because you've produced no evidence. I mean, truly the hottest place in hell for this bitch.
Here at CCOT today and visiting this facility. And first of all, I want to thank El Salvador and their president for their partnership with the United States of America to bring our terrorists here and to incarcerate them and have consequences for the violence that they have perpetuated in our communities. I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally. You will be removed and you will be prosecuted. But know that this facility is one of the tools in our toolkit that we will use if you commit crimes against the American people.
If you commit what crimes? You commit crimes against the American people, what would they do? What'd they do, Kristi? You don't. Can you provide some evidence? Was that on the Signal chat? It must be on Signal. Don't worry. I'll get on Signal right now. Could you add me or whatever? Where's the crime? I love how she's there and she's like, that's great, boys. Good job. These people are behind her as props. She's using their suffering as a prop. Like, there is no greater difference between Democrats and Republicans, like Kamala Harris saying, do not come, Kristi Noem saying, do not come, with just innocent prisoners who are being tortured behind her. Like, they're both bad. One of them's real bad. One of them is like, oh, okay. But this is the problem. This is, I really, every time I see how evil the right is when it comes to immigration, I can't help but also lay it at the feet of Democrats who have bought into a militarized approach to the undocumented population in our country. I mean, remember, Immigrant rights groups had to lobby Barack Obama for months and months to get DACA passed, right? Sit-ins in offices, massive disruptions. That was the work of organizers. Obama didn't do that from the kindness of his heart. It's like these kids were brought here when they were 1, 2. They've been here for decades. Give them citizenship. And of course, all of that apparatus is now being used against them as, you know, even if you were, for example, you know, paying your taxes through the IRS, now the IRS is being weaponized to go after people, to go after undocumented people. I mean, again, it's corny, but like, no one is illegal. No one is illegal. You are still a human and you are still entitled to be treated as such. This is absolutely terrifying. This is totally fucked. I mean, she has got to, when we do our own holding accountable of this junta, I do hope that we hold people like Kristi Noem accountable for these actions. There is currently a lawsuit, by the way, and this current state of that lawsuit that says, hey, you can't use the Alien Enemies Act to deport these Venezuelans. That said that these deportations were illegal to begin with because they defied a judge's order. But this administration doesn't care about a judge's order. So what do we do? And again, it is on the defectors. It is on people who might be in military, who might be asked to carry out orders that they know they shouldn't be carrying out. And I mean, Chuck Schumer, eject him into the sun. I swear to God, you are so useless. And honestly, eject all the other senators into the sun. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you're having your little grandstand moment with how hilarious and awful all the signal chat bullshit is, you know? No, man. No. You need to get out of the way as well. And also, all this sort of like flitting around the edges, or you know, well, maybe there was anti-Semitism on the campuses. That has led directly to this moment. What we are seeing right now is the natural conclusion of what happens when you soft pedal a right-wing narrative, whether it's on Palestine protesters, whether it's on undocumented people and the need to toughen our borders and to toughen our, you have propagandized and bought into the propaganda to the point where the American public is being groomed and has been groomed to consent to these kinds of atrocities against people who aren't them, as long as it's not me. I think that's quite enough. That was a very long little look into all of that. But it's good. You guys, you know we're going to do the fart song. And people who are new patrones, I mean, oh my God. The people have spoken. The people are so sweet. I can almost, you know, be solvent here. I mean, the fact that we're like, I'm able to support this show with your love, with your support, it's absolutely wild. I am beside myself. Truly. I'm gonna read everyone's name in a second, and we're gonna find new ways to thank everybody. There are so many perks. Let's do an upcoming AMA. You get 25% off merch when you become a patron. We got the Frantifa shirts and the Bituation Room shirts, tote bags. I am looking into cute corduroy hats that I'm very excited about. Some people said they wanted mugs. Let's do it. You get 25% off Sunset Lake CBD, so that's even more. Access to like our little private chats where you can send me ideas for who you'd like to see on the show, and obviously access to those bonus episodes. You get most of those perks if you become a member on YouTube. Thank you so much for becoming a member. But again, Patreon is where you would go to get all of the benefits. Nathan Leclerc, thanks to you and others on the left who keep their principles and speak out against what's wrong, even if it isn't populist. I'll say it again. The job of a good message is not to say what is popular. It's to make popular what needs to be said. Thank you, Anat Schenker Osorio, for that. Parker says, shout out to Francesca doing 7 shows this week, putting in that work. Did I do 7 shows? Oh my God. Don M says, I've been with you since the COVID days. I read that. Thank you so much. Let's see. Joop. Balthazar 228. Interesting how there was no reporting of the damage at TYT on the damage report on TYT. John did address it, but that's fine. He doesn't have to dig into the drama, I guess. Some people can fly above it. Medfis, any recommendation for those of us who want to run for local office? Justice Democrats is doing massive recruitment. So that's amazing if you want to run for local office. Justice Democrats, I believe we should get them on the show. They're announcing sort of, I think it's like 1,000, it's some massive push for candidate recruitment. So they are, if not a fundraising source, just a political source on how to run your campaign, where to run your campaign. And they're doing a huge push for recruitment. So definitely check out Justice Democrats. Let's see. Brian, not that Brian Hughes. Thank you for your generous super chat, by the way, Francesca. All Simpson references are evergreen. Love you on the Vanguard. They really are, right? Sean, thank you so much for that super chat. And Mr. Saxo Keat, America. Yes, indeed. Hey, Full Throttle TV, new sub from Canada. Have a great weekend. No, you have a great weekend. Cassandra Capronica, Trump regime is pushing the U.S. to go Django Unchained on their ass. I mean, fuck, girl, if only. Creflo says, hey, Francesca, here in New Jersey last night, the Union County Commissioners voted in favor of a motion to sell the county jail. There's a strong possibility it could end up becoming a private ICE facility. Good God, that doesn't surprise me, and that's terrifying. That should be fought at every level. I can't believe, I mean, that's why you got to run for local office. But reports are that they are running out of places to house the amount of people they're detaining. And that is why people are being detained in facilities that obviously are either too small, don't have proper bathrooms, no ability to shower. I mean, we talked about last week, I think, just like terrible conditions they're keeping like grandmothers in and things like this. Lindsay, thank you for your super chat. Franny, my sis and I are on your team. Seeing yesterday's video, and as a homeless in my youth, I really didn't care for Anna's take. Not very progressive. Great show Wednesday. Try to get all my friends out in May. And merch? You're a real one. Oh, there'll definitely be merch. Thank you for saying that. I agreed with that. Speaking of empathy, we really, and speaking, we really cannot detach the like homelessness from everything else, from, all the other isms. And we can't throw in the towel and say, well, at some point we just have to criminalize it. I don't believe that. I do think you need more funds for like frontline organizers and service providers and social workers. That's where the money needs to go. I am not someone who's going to advocate for incarceration. It does not do any good. In fact, taxpayers pay a lot for that. Right. And we've spoken about the Supreme Court ruling that basically makes it illegal to be homeless. Right. Illegal to be homeless. Look, I could be proven wrong. I don't know whether Anna did some coverage about that ruling. It's really terrifying. Up until that point, it was seen as cruel and unusual. I believe I forgot which amendment, violation of 14th or something like this, to say that someone could not live outside because they weren't able to live indoors. Right. It's the same thing whether you're criminalizing people living in their cars or, you cite them, you give them citations. They don't pay it. Nobody can pay it. Where are you supposed to go? Right? Where are you supposed to sleep? Where are you supposed to shower? Balthazar 228 and DACA was just a stopgap measure with no pathway to citizenship or ability to file for asylum while enrolled. Dreamers deserve the DREAM Act, 100%. And thank you, Doug, for that super chat. And Redman, thank you. And Unbiased Critic, lol, very generous of you. Maxwell, thank you so much for that. Indigo Blue, appreciate you. And let's just, holy shit, guys. This is going to be the longest. Are you guys ready? Is anyone ready for the amount of love and support that I am floored? And I swear to God, I'm serious when I say, like, with your support, I can put out more videos. I have a wonderful new editor, Brent Godin. I was like, can you put out one video a day? That's all I can afford right now. And because it's Trump and like the news is moving so fast, I've been making him put out 2 videos a day. And it's like, I want to be able to pay him in accordance with like the amount of work that he's doing. And he goes in and he edits this up and he will like take out my swears so that like, it doesn't get flagged. And so I would like to be able to pay him more money. I would like to be able to, have more of Paige's time and have more time on myself I do all my own booking. Paige helps me with that as well. So all this money goes directly back into the show, the ability to go rent out a venue in order to bring the show live to you in the flesh, and be able to pay for those rental overhead costs to then bring you an awesome, dope show, hopefully with local organizers, activists, journalists, whomever. Suggestions are welcome. So like truly the last 4 years of building my show has been reinvesting and sort of making slowly. I'm like, oh, look, I made $400 this month. And like, okay, and like slowly. And so, and obviously losing TYT as an income stream is very, it's a hit. It's not it's a hit. It's a hit, honestly. I'm not going to lie. So it goes a long way, and be prepared for the longest fart song of your goddamn life, because you guys are too wonderful. But thank you to the members at $10 or more, and all the new patrons. But Joseph Wilson, thank you so much. I'm gonna just go through. This is like honestly like my email at this point. Brandon H, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you, JT the Deadhead. Appreciate that. Thank you, Old Ruth. Appreciate you. Thank you, Heather Powell. Thank you, Kai Anthony. Thank you, J.R. Hernandez. Thank you, William. Thank you, Phi Sylphian. We're going to keep going. Thank you, Iris Lane. Thank you, Matthew Jeffero. Thank you, Robert Campbell. I can't do conversions that early. Thank you, Matt Schwartz. Damn, Matt. Appreciate you. Did I do Robert Campbell already? Thank you, Robert Campbell. Thank you, Brian Chusiano. I love that name. Cusiano. Blue Knight, thank you for becoming a member. Joel Schertzinger, thank you so much for becoming a member. Jesse, thank you so much for becoming a member. Or a patron, sorry. Insta Young Keat, thank you for becoming a patron. And thank you everyone who I might have missed, including all the new actual members over on YouTube. Catherine V, Dennis Carmichael, Abraham Arango, Someone, Ancient Gatekeeper, Writing on the Wall, Colin Hutton, Mena, Squid Vicious, Nat Datil, Patrick Southern, Strayex, Caroline Horton, Courtney Morrison, Petey Pete, Lionel L, Roland Didi, Clumsy with Words, Phil 75, William Buhner, Rabbi or Rabbi, Big Crabby. I want to call you Rabbi now. Jonathan Bowie, Composer, Postix058, Heather DeLau, James Lonero, Awaits Liam, Barrett Terry, Miss Ruthless, he is Vigo. Come with me if you want to live. Mariah the Ginkgo Dragon, the Black Bernie Sanders. I love that. We need a Black Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's a lot of them. Praneeth Rao, Courtney Kelly, Amanda Robinson, Beth Wamsley, Good Morning Pokey, KM, Tree Batiki, Basta Bay, Barry, Van Lepithan, Andy Chapman, Brian Ayerman, Ashley Ferris, Allison Griffin, William Woods, Envy Grandma, J Dubs, Spartisan Singham, Duskwind, Dark County, this is insane, America Eclipse, Brett, Sharon Ann Koenig, Jessica W. Albritton, The Amazing Kevlar, Corey Springer, Jose Torres, Ari Ariano, Ash, Chris, X64V, Sir Run of the Roundhead, okay, Raymond Young, Steve Pledge, Reborn's Free, 57 Boomer, BC Trumpet, Breshvik, Jacob W, Jackson Gisling, another Brian gifted a sub, Illis Cardigan, Lazy Peon, Dane Mom Dragon, Jeffrey LaPlante, Andrew S. Given 5 subs, Valiant Orion, Nathan Pauljack, Joe K, Medfizz, Alex not only being generous in this time, but also giving out a sub, Jameson Hall, Rachel, Matt Schwartz, Sitting 8 Bull, Jose Requena, Soul Life giving 10 memberships, Soul Life, oh god damn, Creflo, Michael Shelinga. Thank you guys so much. And you know what? Forgot to pull up Twitch. I love you. I love you, Twitch. And I will do another shout out of all of the patrons at $10 or more on Tuesday. We have an awesome show. You guys, Taylor Lorenz is on for the very first time. We also are going to have Kim Kelly back in the show. So we're talking labor. We're talking who knows what with Taylor. It's going to be great. It's also going to be Paige's birthday. That is April 1st on Tuesday. We're streaming Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Remember, you can follow me on all of the things Bituation Room, Bituation on Twitter, Bituation Pod on, or Bituation Room on Instagram as well. We're on Blue Sky. And I'm going to be live with Matt Lieb on Wednesday, May 7th at Cobb's Comedy. It's going to be so fun. Get your tickets, francescafiorentini.com, or hopefully in the description here or at some point. Hey guys, thank you so much for the love, man. It really means a lot. You're awesome. I promise I'm not going to do drama. That's not what I'm trying to do. And until Tuesday, hey, take care of yourself. And each other. Whose is that? Is that Doc's? Yeah, that's Doc's sign off. It doesn't matter. Love y'all. Bye. Oh no, this is my sign off. If you don't know it, it's fight the power, fuck the patriarchy, free Palestine, and don't just bitch about it, be about it. Thank you. Bye, guys.